Alrighty guys, so we're talking about the fat tax. As I've heard both of my opponents speak, it seems that they spend a little bit more time talking about the obesity epidemic and what's currently going on now, more so than how the fat tax is really going to benefit us. They spend a lot of time speaking about the cigarette tax, booze tax, and even a sugary tax. But none of those taxes that those taxes that they're speaking about doesn't even come close to the amount that they're proposing. They're proposing a 20% increase of tax on all processed high-fat foods, while these, with the minimum being 35% and above, and 50% for the cigarette tax, as they said. What it also seems is, well, we both agree that obesity in America is a problem, and in fact, it's an epidemic. But how will this fat tax work? They really don't give us any insight on how exactly we're gonna address this issue. It seems they simply want to tax a macronutrient. A macronutrient is one of the three, fat is one of the three macronutrients that is essential for human life, which is protein, carbohydrates, and fats. What they're basing their premises on, or what the fat tax is premised on, is that fat tends to have a few more calories than protein or carbohydrates. That's not exactly how we address this obesity epidemic. Me as a personal trainer, I have first-hand experience working with my clients, and I've been able to reduce their fat mass, letting them eat ice cream, which is usually high in fats, letting them eat burgers, which is usually high in fats, and they still lose fat all at the exact same time. So why is that? Well, there's a doctor that supports me in this case. He actually did an experiment on himself. So this doctor, his name was Dr. Mark Hub. He's a professor of human nutrition at Kansas State. So he proposed a Twinkie, Little Debbie diet. So that's all he ate for 10 weeks. So this is a quote from on there. For 10 weeks, Dr. Mark Hub, a professor of human nutrition at Kansas State University, ate one of these sugary cakelets, which is the Twinkies and those, about every 3 hours instead of meals. To add variety, he added a steady stream of Hostess, Little Debbie snacks, and munched on Dorito chips, all while drinking Sprite all at the same time. Okay? Also along with sugary cereals and Oreos, which are usually all high in fats. His premise is that weight loss is pure calorie counting and not a matter of fat. In this study himself, he lost 27 pounds. It was all calories in versus calories out, not how much fat. So their argument isn't exactly soluble. It's not fat that's making people fat. It's the amount of food that we're currently taking in. So it's more moderation. So how do we figure out moderation? I just think their argument is a little skewed. For his class project, he limited himself to 1,800 calories instead of what he used to consume, which was 2,600 calories. All at the same time, his bad cholesterol, his low-density lipids dropped 20%, and his good cholesterol actually went up by 20%. So again, fat is not the issue here. Another thing that what's the opponents were saying? They said that their hopes is to raise the tax in order to prevent people from buying these high-fat foods. Well, according to Mark Hyman from drmikehyman.com, when people eat less fat, they tend to eat more starch and sugar instead, which actually increases the level of dangerous cholesterol, the small, dense cholesterol that causes heart attacks. In fact, studies show that 75% of people that end up in emergency rooms with a heart attack have normal overall cholesterols. Another study stated that, from the Joslin Diabetic Center, said that the American Diabetic Association has deemed low-fat diets harmful and makes diabetes worse. Their new research states that diabetics should be switching to a diet that is about 30% fat, 30% protein, and 40% low starches, which automatically rules out anything with 10% or more fat. So taxes on these would just be penalizing those people having slightly higher fat foods when in fact they deem it healthy. It seems that they just keep going back to taxes that have worked before, but there's no studies that have actually said that this will actually make people make better decisions. Another thing is that the cost of obesity might actually be overstated. Obese people tend to have lower life expectancies, which in fact will turn around and save the government money and pension costs and healthcare costs that tend to happen from old age. Most of our healthcare costs come from people in old age. I believe their argument of wanting state a 20 or put a 20% tax on foods that are processed and have 10% or more in fat is misguided. I just think they could find a more efficient way of doing something here. Thank you.